In a world ruled by words, the silent are often overlooked, until it's too late. If you've ever felt powerless in a room full of louder voices, this is your weapon, silence sharpened into strategy. You are not what you are. You are what others think you are. This is the first truth the wise learn, and the naive never survive long enough to understand. The world does not care for your real strength, your actual value, your deepest talents. The world responds to image, illusion, and symbols. That is why kings wear crowns, why generals march with banners, and why fools so often appear wise. Because they understand the art of perception, if only by accident. If you want to outsmart anyone without saying a word, understand this. The truth is too heavy for most to carry, so give them what they want to believe, and hide the rest. Reality is your private weapon. Perception is your public armor. Never confuse the two. If you are strong, conceal it. Let others assume your silence is ignorance, your calm is confusion, your stillness is weakness. When you do not defend yourself, they assume you cannot. And that is exactly what you want. For the man who believes you are harmless will lower his guard. The woman who thinks you are simple will expose her strategy. The crowd that sees you as passive will reveal their intentions, thinking you are no threat. In that moment, when they believe they understand you, they are at their weakest. Because what they think they know is based on a shadow, a mask, a fiction. And by the time they realize that fiction was a trap, it is already too late. Do not strive to be understood. Strive to be underestimated. A tiger hidden beneath the skin of a lamb will always walk freely through the gates guarded by shepherds. Let them see the lamb, never the claws. You must become a master of contrast. Sometimes appear too eager to please, then vanish when they expect your loyalty. Sometimes act confused, then deliver clarity when they falter. Appear distracted, while in truth, you observe more than anyone in the room. The more chaotic the image you project, the more control you can maintain behind the curtain. Because people react to surfaces, they rarely question what lies beneath them. Control perception like a painter. Every gesture, every silence, every glance must serve a purpose. Never speak to reveal truth. Speak only to shape belief. Never dress to reflect your mood. Dress to create the mood in others. You are not a participant in their world. You are the architect of how they see you in it. If you walk into a room with confidence but remain silent, they will wonder about your importance. If you respond slowly, they will interpret it as depth. If you smile rarely, your rare smile will become valuable. Everything you do, every absence and every presence must be deliberate. Because when your behavior is intentional, their perception becomes predictable. And when you can predict perception, you can control reaction. The most dangerous mistake the clever make is assuming that truth alone wins battles. It does not. What wins is control. Control over emotions, over movement, over tone. And most importantly, control over how you are perceived. Let the fool walk in boasting of his strengths, displaying his cards like a child proud of his toys. You will walk in quietly, carrying no proof of your capability. Because when no one sees your hand, no one knows when to fold theirs. And yet, there is a deeper danger you must avoid. Do not lose yourself in the mask. A man who becomes the image he projects is a puppet of his own performance. You must always remain aware of the separation. There is the you they see, and then there is the real you watching behind the curtain, adjusting the strings. Let your enemies underestimate you. Let your allies overestimate you. Both become tools. The underestimator grows careless. The overestimator grows dependent. And in between their illusions, you walk freely, unseen and untouched. Manipulating perception is not deception. It is protection. A lion in the open draws arrows, but a shadow in the shape of a lamb invites trust. Power is safest when it is invisible, when it is suspected, but never confirmed, when it is whispered about, but never seen, when it is present in the silence, felt but never touched. They will speak of you in rooms you've never entered. They will wonder how you always stay 2 moves ahead. They will try to understand your mind, but their map leads them nowhere because they're navigating a world you crafted from illusion. While they chase the surface, you sit deeper, hidden, watching, already thinking 3 steps beyond their last sentence. Movement reveals hunger. Stillness suggests control. The one who fidgets, adjusts, reacts too quickly. He tells the room, I am unsettled. The one who moves with patience, or not at all, commands the atmosphere like a sovereign. And the moment you understand this, you no longer need to raise your voice or even open your mouth to gain power. You simply need to learn how to remain still, how to become an object of gravity in a world addicted to speed. The frantic are always ruled. They react to every stimulus, chase every distraction, respond to every threat like prey. But the composed are feared. Because when a man does not react, people do not know what he is thinking. And fear grows strongest in silence, in the gaps, in the unknown. When your body is still, when your breath is measured, when your expression is unreadable, you are no longer just present. You are powerful. Stillness is not laziness. It is not indifference. Stillness is strategy. It is the decision to not reveal what others are desperately trying to detect. You deny them your intention. You deny them your weakness. You deny them your rhythm. And when people cannot place you inside their mental map, they begin to circle nervously around you. They project, they invent, they fear, and you never had to speak a single word. The battlefield of the mind is filled with noise. Everyone wants to be heard, to be seen, to be noticed. Everyone wants to fill the silence because they are terrified of what silence says about them. But the one who embraces silence controls it. The one who sits without squirming, who stands without shifting, who lets his hands rest while others wave theirs. He becomes a figure of mystery and authority. In a world addicted to movement, stillness becomes dominant. Think of a king. Does he pace nervously around his court? Does he scramble for approval? No. He sits, he watches, and he waits. The more you do, the more information you give. The less you do, the more others reveal. Let your stillness be the void that sucks the truth from their mouths. Let them speak to fill the space you create. Every word they utter becomes data. Every movement they make becomes evidence. You remain still because you are already in control. There is a hidden violence in silence, a sharpness in restraint. Those who are loud want you to know they exist. Those who are still already know they matter. When you speak without moving, when you pause before you answer, when you let a question hang in the air longer than they expect, it unsettles them. It makes them question if they've said too much. It makes them wonder if you know more than you should. You become the mirror that reflects their insecurity. You become the stage where their ego performs while you stand behind the curtain, pulling the strings. The truth is, most people have no internal anchor. They move because others move. They speak because they're uncomfortable in their own silence, and that makes them predictable. If you want to outsmart them, become the still figure in the chaos, the one who seems to hear more than what's said, the one whose silence is not absence, but pressure. When others lean in to provoke you, do not move. When they expect a reaction, give them stillness. When they insult you, when they test you, when they poke at your emotions, smile if you must, but never flinch. Because the one who does not flinch becomes untouchable. He turns confrontation into theater. He becomes the one others can't figure out. And what you can't figure out, you fear. Power is not always loud. It is not always dramatic. Often, it is the quiet presence in the corner of the room, the one person not trying to prove anything, the one whose eyes see everything but say nothing. That person, calm, still, unreadable, draws more attention than the one shouting at the center. Because the mind seeks mystery, it fixates on it, and if you can train your body to be still, you train the world to look at you and wonder what you're hiding, what you're planning, what you know that they don't. When you move, move with intent, but when you don't, let your stillness scream. Let it speak louder than their speeches. Let it echo in their minds longer than their own words. Your stillness should feel like a question they don't know how to answer. Your silence should feel like a wall they can't climb. Let others make noise. You will be the silence they remember. The mouth is a liar. The tongue plays tricks, but the eyes betray everything. They are the traitors of the soul, the only part of a person that cannot hide its truth for long. You may train your voice, polish your words, decorate your appearance, but the eyes will always speak louder than your speech. And once you understand this, once you master how to control what your eyes say and how to read what others don't realize theirs are saying, you will possess a weapon more dangerous than any word ever spoken. In silence, the eyes become your language, and in power, they become your sword. Look at someone long enough and they will begin to fidget. Hold your gaze with steadiness and patience, and they will search for meaning in your stillness. Break eye contact too soon and you have submitted. Hold it too long and you declare dominance, but control when, where, and how you look. And you control the dynamic before it even begins. The weak are careless with their gaze. They dart around nervously, seeking approval, seeking safety. They avoid eye contact when they lie, or lock eyes too intensely to overcompensate. You must be different. You must train your eyes to move with reason. Every glance, every pause, every narrowing of the lid must carry intent. Your gaze should feel like a question that cannot be answered, or a judgment that needs no explanation. People don't fear what they understand. They fear what they cannot read. Be unreadable. There is power in silence, but silence guided by the eyes becomes suffocating. In a negotiation, never fill the silence with noise. Let your gaze do the work. Let your opponent speak to escape the weight of your stare. The longer you say nothing, and the more direct your eye contact remains, the more pressure they feel to fill the void. And in their words, you find leverage. In their reaction to your stillness, you gain control. You do not need to be the loudest in the room. You need only be the one who sees everything and reveals nothing. When you listen, don't just hear. Watch the flicker of their pupils, the sudden glance to the side, the twitch at the corner of the eye. People are terrified of being seen too deeply. If they sense that your gaze is not just looking at them, but into them, they will lose composure. They will either try to impress you or fear you. Either way, you win. The key is presence. When you enter a room, don't let your eyes seek attention. Let them claim it. Don't scan the room like a nervous guest. Let your gaze land slowly, intentionally. Choose your moments to make eye contact. And when you do, hold it just long enough for them to wonder what you're thinking. Never let your eyes beg. They should command. Even in silence, they should speak of certainty, of knowing, of quiet dominance. When someone speaks to you, don't rush to respond. Let your eyes study them. Let a pause linger. It creates discomfort, but that discomfort is yours to control. In that moment, they are not sure if they've said too much or too little. They will question themselves. They will read your silence as judgment, and often, they will reveal even more in a desperate attempt to break the tension. That's when they start telling you things they never intended to say. That's when their mind becomes yours. People are constantly broadcasting their internal state through their eyes. Confidence, insecurity, attraction, fear, boredom. None of it can truly be hidden. But most people are blind to these signals. You must not be. Watch carefully. Train your observation like a hunter. Don't react emotionally. Don't flinch. Just observe. The more you notice, the more predictable they become. And predictability is the first ingredient of control. There is also timing. The timing of a glance can shift an entire conversation. Looking away too quickly can signal disinterest or fear. Looking too late can appear arrogant. But if you break eye contact just before they expect it, if you do it deliberately, just slightly offbeat, you disrupt their rhythm. That disruption makes them uncertain, and uncertainty breeds influence. You don't need to overpower them. You only need to destabilize them long enough for your silence to dominate the space. The beauty of mastering the eyes is that you can command an entire situation without a single word. You can crush confidence with a glance. You can plant doubt, provoke desire, assert control all without opening your mouth. Because while others are focused on what to say, you are watching, waiting, calculating, and your eyes are saying everything they cannot defend against. There is a reason the wise are often silent. Not because they have nothing to say, but because they understand the danger of saying too much, and the incredible power in letting others reveal themselves. A man who speaks endlessly is a man building his own trap with every word. A man who listens quietly is digging the hole deeper, waiting for the right moment to let the speaker fall in. This is not just patience. This is dominance disguised as passivity. The average person feels a compulsive need to fill silence. They confuse stillness for discomfort, and so they begin to speak. They speak to impress, to control, to hide their anxiety. But what they don't realize is that every extra word they offer, every unguarded sentence, every tangent and over-explanation, these are all doors opening into their mind. And you, silent and watchful, are already walking through them before they even realize the gates are open. Let them talk. Let them brag. Let them explain themselves to you, even when you haven't asked. Especially when you haven't asked. Silence is your bait. Their ego is your hook. And the moment they believe they're leading the conversation is the moment you begin to lead them. The loudest voice in the room is usually the most insecure. Let it keep talking. The more they try to prove themselves, the more they reveal their weaknesses. Do not interrupt, do not argue, do not rush to correct a lie. Instead, let the lie grow. Let the exaggeration swell. Let the contradictions pile up until they are drowning in their own need to be understood. In that flood of words, they expose everything. Their priorities, their pressure points, their desires, their desperation. You don't need to interrogate them. Just listen carefully enough and they will confess more than they know. People think speaking is power, but speaking is risk. Every time you talk, you give away parts of your strategy. You show your perspective. You reveal your emotions. You expose your rhythm. But when you stay silent, when you only nod, when your face remains unreadable, you become a mirror. And what do people do when they see only their reflection? They perform. They speak more. They fill the void with more of themselves, thinking they are holding control when they are actually unraveling. The beauty of this technique is that it makes your silence feel like authority. The less you say, the more they work to impress you. They try to guess what you're thinking. They try to adjust to your quiet reactions. They shape their behavior around you, and they don't even realize they're doing it. While they adjust themselves, you remain unmoved. You become the center of gravity. They orbit you. This is how you shift the power balance in any room without confrontation. While others rush to explain themselves, you become the person they explain themselves to. While they argue, you observe. While they spill information, you store it. While they try to dominate with volume, you dominate with restraint. Because in truth, nothing frightens the unguarded speaker more than someone who hears everything and says nothing. When you do speak, speak only to ask questions that go deeper. Push them further into their own mind. Ask them why, ask them how. Watch them twist their own narrative trying to remain consistent. The longer they speak, the more tangled they become, and you, still calm, still silent, pull the threads without ever being seen pulling. This tactic is especially lethal when you are underestimated, when they think your silence is confusion, when they mistake your listening for lack of knowledge. In that ignorance, they grow comfortable. They say more than they would in front of someone they perceive as a threat. They grow overconfident, and overconfidence is the prelude to collapse. They will make mistakes in your presence, thinking you're not sharp enough to notice. But you notice everything. You just have no need to prove it. Yet, letting others talk themselves into defeat is not about manipulation. It's about patience, precision, and discipline. It's about mastering the urge to speak, especially when provoked. Because the moment you open your mouth, you become part of the game. But if you stay silent, you rise above the game. You become the judge, the observer, the strategist. They forget you're even playing. And that's when you win. Power does not shout. It does not beg to be seen. It does not explain itself. The most dangerous person in any room is not the loudest, but the one who watches quietly, moves rarely, and reveals nothing. You control perception by offering illusion, not honesty. You dominate with stillness, while others exhaust themselves in movement. You speak with your eyes, while they stumble with their mouths. And above all, you let them destroy themselves with their own words, while you wait, unshaken, unreadable, untouchable. The world belongs to the silent strategist, to the one who is always listening, always calculating, always 2 steps ahead without needing to take the first step out loud. Let others perform, let them rush to be understood. Let them dance in the spotlight. You will rule from the shadows, not because you said anything, but because you didn't have to.